have what they asked for, evidence from the crime scene, photos of Kaylee's remains. So what is this so-called defense dream team going to do now? We'll explore that. And what about Casey's parents, George and Cindy? Where have they been? They were not in court this week, and they haven't seen their daughter for months now. Friday, we brought in our expert panel to break this one down. Let's start with the Anthony's attorney. Brad Conway appeared on the Today Show, and one of the questions, Mark, you and I talked about it yesterday, why were George and Cindy Anthony not there in the court? Why haven't they seen her since October? Here's how he responded.
The Anthony stand by their daughter. They love their daughter, but every time they visit with her at the jail, within a day, those videotapes are broadcast across the country. They have absolutely no privacy with her, and they need that with their daughter.
Okay, Brian, let me get you in on this. He said it. They stand by her. Don't you go see? I mean, how can you not see her since October if you stand by her? Help me with that one.
Well, it's easy to read more into these things than there might be sometimes. For example, about a year ago right now, Britney Spears didn't go to some procedural thing in her case, or custody case with her kids, and people were speculating about the reasons for that. And it turned out that it was probably just the advice of her counsel that she should be doing other things that she was required to do to accelerate her reunification with her kids. And it could be that in this case, Jose Baez determined that the circus of it, the release of the videos and all that, just isn't worth it right now to his efforts to give her the best possible defense, to have them be showing up there either at the courthouse or at the jail.
It looks like parents have abandoned her.
Let me say this, from a public perception, maybe, and especially if you keep saying it, they'll believe you.
Okay.
But the reality is, listen to Brian, you know, the attorney probably said, their own attorney just said, you don't need this. You don't need the circus. They're going to analyze everything. And what it does actually is it causes an interaction between the defendant, Casey, and her parents. And then everyone will analyze, well, she didn't look at them enough, so she's cold. She did look, and now she's smiling inappropriately when her daughter is dead. So she's damned either way. They're all damned either way because of the media attention.
Yeah. Okay. We have also Marva Hinton from WDBO Radio with us. Marva, has there been any statement at all from the Anthonys, aside from their lawyer, from them? It's been a while, and they were front and center for a long time.
Right. They have been staying pretty much out of the spotlight since Kaylee's remains were found. You just get the feeling like they are really drained by this whole process. And as far as why they weren't in court yesterday, you know, Casey was not supposed to appear. We didn't think she was going to appear. So that might be why they stayed away from court, if they weren't expecting her to be there.
Okay. Let's get a few calls in on this. A lot of people want in. Terry in California. Terry, go ahead.
Hi.
Hey.
I agree with your expert. I think that George and Anthony have issues with Kaylee still. They haven't been able to talk to her and get the truth. And I feel that she's been hiding from them and maybe herself. And they're distrained and they're grieving their granddaughter. And I just feel that they don't want to be with her right now, maybe. That's the case.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. No, I hear you on that. I don't want to indict George and Cindy because they're going through hell, let's face it. And that's aside, just on a straight human level, their grandparents who love little Kaylee, and she's gone. So regardless of what they know on that level, let's say our heart goes out to them. John Lusich, when you talk about George and Cindy, their demeanor has changed. What is your read on them? You know, and folks fall on different sides. Where do you fall?
Hey, Mike, you may not want to indict them, but the state might want to sometime down the road. I mean, I said this from day one when Cindy walked out of that car that she thought smelled like a dead body and took that piece of clothing out there. And what'd she do with it? She immediately washed it. These people are asking for immunity for a good reason. It's because they're going to come out and say something that's going to put this investigation on its head and maybe even get Casey off. I don't trust them, and I think that the prosecution would be out of their minds to give them any immunity whatsoever.
Okay, you just hit on it. Their attorney, Brad Conway, talked about that on the Today Show. Why do they need immunity if they have nothing to hide? Let's listen to him.
For me to allow my clients to go into a room with the FBI and the Orange County Sheriff's Office without protections that ensure that they can say what they need to say without worrying about further ramifications would be incompetence on my part, and I'm not going to do that.
Okay, there it is. Mark, I mean, that's what he, as a lawyer, that's what he has to do, right? That's no surprise there.
He is absolutely right. I would say it would be malpractice under this scrutiny to allow his clients to go in and speak to any of these law enforcement officers, not because they've done anything wrong, and I don't know whether they have or they haven't,
right,
but because any word that they say that could be consistent with guilt could lead to their indictment. And why put your clients through that?
Okay, let's get another call in. Marco, North Carolina. Marco, go ahead.
How you guys doing?
Great.
Okay, you're talking about the Anthonys with their, they want total immunity, this, that, and the other thing. Their lawyer has to protect them. I think they're, the 911 call. Cindy Anthony. Usually your first instinct is right. That's what I was taught when I was a fireman, and I'll live by it. The reason they don't want to go see their daughter, because George said it on the news on Monday. The bottom line is, now that he knows he lost his granddaughter, he also lost his daughter.
All right, Marco, thank you. I've made that point, and that's one thing that tells us, or we speculate, they know more than they're letting on. At the beginning, they were very straight, and George Anthony, who was in law enforcement, said he smelled death, and then months later, he appeared on the Larry King Show, and both of them, stone-faced. He wouldn't even look Larry King in the eye. Oh, it's food. It's the rotting pizza theory. So that's, I think, where we go there. Guys, we're going to take a quick break, and coming right back, we're also going to talk about Casey Anthony and a so-called dream defense team. Mark Eiglarz has some insight on that. One question we want to know, how are they paying for that? Taking your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLM.